Hey everyone, Chris here, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you my TBR for middle grade March. So middle grade March runs for the entire month of March and is all about reading middle grade. It is hosted by Krista from Books and Jams, Katie from Life Between Words, and Amanda from The Curly Reader. Basically, all you have to do to participate is to read one middle grade in the month of March, and you participated in middle grade March. However, there are some prompts, and I definitely plan on reading a book for each of the prompts. So the first prompt is the group book, and for that it's The Brave by James Bird. I had never heard of this book before I watched Krista, Katie, and Amanda's announcement videos. By the way, their announcement videos and their recommendation videos will be linked in the description below. So let's see. It says, Colin can't help himself. He has a unique condition that leads him to count every letter spoken to him. It's a quirk that makes him a prime target for bullies and a continual frustration to the adults around him, including his father. When Colin is asked to leave yet another school, his dad decides to send him to live in Minnesota with the mother he's never met. She is Ojibwe and lives on a reservation. Colin arrives in Duluth with his loyal dog Seven and quickly finds his mom and his new home to be warm, welcoming, and accepting of his condition. Colin's quirk is matched by that of his neighbor Orenda, a girl who lives mostly in her treehouse and believes she is turning into a butterfly. With Orenda's help, Colin works hard to overcome his challenges. His real tests come when he must step up for his new friend and trust his new family. So this sounds like it's going to be quite the interesting read, and I am really excited to check it out. So the next prompt is to read a book with a silhouette on the cover, and for this I'm going to be reading Property of the Rebel Librarian. And there is my silhouette. On the back it says, I'm a middle school nobody who's never gotten in trouble a day in my life, and all of a sudden I'm bad news. I believe this book is about a school who starts banning books, and our main character ends up becoming kind of like the on the down low book dealer. Other than that, I don't know too much about it. I basically went to my shelves and looked at all the books that had silhouettes on the cover, and then I actually presented them to my mom and let my mom pick ones, and this is the one she chose, so I will be giving this a go in the month of March. The next prompt is book with a strong family element, and for this I'm going to be reading A Sprinkle of Secrets by Anna Mariano. This is the second book in the Love, Sugar, Magic series. This follows Leo, who is the youngest of 5, and she finds out that her and her family are Brujas in the first book. I know in the first book that the relationship between Leo, her sisters, and her parents was highly demonstrated, so I can't imagine that this book won't have similar vibes, so I'm assuming there's going to be a strong family element in this book, so it will fulfill this prompt. The next prompt is to read a book with travel or adventure in it, and for this I'm going to be reading The Great Brain Robbery by P.G. Bell. This follows a girl named Susie who helps deliver packages on the train that traverses the Land of Impossible Places, and this is the second book in the series. And I know there must be a travel element to this book since Susie will be delivering another package, meaning she has to travel from place to place to do so on the train. Other than that, I haven't looked too much into what this book is about. I just know that I love the first one, and I can't imagine that I won't love the second one as well. The next prompt is to read a book that is a fairy tale, a retelling, or has fairy tale elements. And for this, I'm going to be reading Ghost of a Chance by Susan Maupin Schmid. This is the second book in the 100 Dresses series, and I definitely think the first one has fairy tale vibes. It starts off in this one, it says, inside an enchanted castle, there's a closet. A closet with 100 magical dresses that only Darling Dimple can wear. Each one disguises her as somebody else. So I definitely think this has kind of like the fairy tale vibes. And I really enjoyed the first book and found it to be very whimsical. So I'm hoping that that vibe continues in book 2. And the last prompt is to read a book published in the decade you were born. So for me, this is the 80s, and this was a bit tricky, as I wasn't sure I had any books on my shelf that were published in the 80s, but I did manage to find one, and that is Super Fudge by Judy Blume. So I loved this series when I was a kid, and I want to say I read it like 4 or 5 years ago for school. I took a college class that was about child development, and one of the papers I had to write for that class was to read children's books and talk about whether I felt that, based on what I knew about child development, the characters were accurately depicted. And I chose to read Super Fudge and its 2 sequels and talk about how the characters grew in those books and whether it jived with what I had learned about in the course. I believe I still enjoyed these books, though probably not as much as I did when I read them for the first time when I was a kid. If you've never heard of this book, basically it says, "One Fudge is enough. Farley Drexel Hatcher, otherwise known as Fudge, thinks he's a superhero. But his older brother Peter knows Fudge is nothing but a big pain. Dealing with Fudge is hard enough, but now Peter's parents have decided to move to New Jersey for an entire year. Even worse, Peter's mom is going to have a new baby. And if this baby is anything like Fudge, help. How will Peter ever survive?" So this book basically follows Peter and his little brother Fudge, who is quite the character if memory serves, and dealing with having a new baby. And honestly, this could probably work for the prompt for strong family element as well, if you weren't born in the 80s and it sounds interesting. But like I said, I remember really liking this book, and I'm looking forward to getting to reread it. So this is my TBR for Middle Grade March. Are you participating in Middle Grade March? If so, let me know some of the books you chose for the prompts in the comments section below. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me bird emojis in the comments section. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!